Not another old world video. How's the internet not sick of this already?
I don't know. Who's even playing this game?
Oh, hey guys. Welcome to another Lords of War Games and Hobbies video with Chris and Jay.
How's it going?
And we are going to feed right into the algorithm today by chatting again about...
Today's an algorithm day. Yeah, we took a look at our last set of videos and we're like, we haven't really hit the algorithm.
We haven't algorithmed.
We tried to deviate a little bit. It's you want to cover other things sometimes, but
the problem is we're trying to do like honest content, and I think that's the real problem.
Yeah.
The strike against it, I think. Right?
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So
today we're gonna, Jay is just coming in, and he's I think it's gonna mostly be a Jay rant.
No.
He's got some spicy takes.
Are we gonna make a safe space here? Or a safe space zone?
Yeah. Put the little cone of safe space around
good.
you, and
Okay,
there's no consequences to this.
Nothing. No, not even. Sure.
And I think what we're gonna try to do is just talk about like after the launch. We've had like a few weeks here now to kind of see how the landscape is, and we've obviously noticed a few immediate problems with like how things are going to proceed going forward. So I'll hand it over to you, and you can kind of start talking.
I'm gonna again super preface with the flashing disclaimer that I don't hate the old world.
No,
I don't hate old world people.
No. It's funny that you have to say.
Yeah, I have to say those things because everything you're gonna say is gonna sound very negative.
Yeah,
I already
sure.
know one of our commenters who comments on every video is gonna be completely say the opposite. They're gonna be like, Jay's wrong, etc. That's fine. That's what free speech is for.
Yeah, of course. And get your essays ready. We read them.
I appreciate your comments, even the terrible or not terrible, the negative ones. So really what this spawned from is like every week Chris and I kind of catch up on what's going on, and I was like, I'm still struggling to form construct or plan or do anything with an old world army. So yes, I suppose I could have done the relatively easy thing and either bought Tomb Kings or Bretonnians. There is still some supply of that around. So for any of you that have been tracking it, there was only a few things that hard sold out, and it was like some of the really obscure Bretonnian kits and some of the obscure Tomb King kits. But a lot of the stuff is still available, and even the big army boxes that sold out briefly are kind of back again. I don't know what happened there. I have a feeling that a bunch of people canceled orders and things like that. I know we were waiting on some things, and then the delay was dragging on, so we canceled an order and things like that. So I have a feeling that some of that. So yeah, I'm not going to do Tomb Kings and Bretonnians because also part of that was like I didn't want to cannibalize stock that potentially people really wanted. So I was like, I'm going to do Warriors of Chaos. So I was like, there's enough stuff in the system. There's like Warriors and Knights and Marauders, I guess, and things like that. So, I set about trying to build a list, and that was kind of compared to like I guess the luxury I've had in the last 8 years of 40K or just
talk about that a little bit, because like we used to write fantasy lists all the time.
Yes,
and I think maybe we've both forgot how
there's a bit of me
long form they are, and
I will fully admit to being old man yelling at cloud. That's fine. I'm gonna be 38 shortly or whatever. So it's like when you sit down and you're like, normally AOS 40K, you're like everything's bought in 5s and 10s, and you pay one fixed cost and you move on with your life. Here you're like really having to stop and think. And I'm having to cross-reference the rulebook a lot and be like, well, how wide do I want my unit to be? Is a 6 or 7? And then I realize it doesn't matter because you have what do you call it? Whatever it is, the power rank or whatever the single. Everyone in the front rank fights anyway.
Yeah.
So your frontage, it actually makes sense to go as wide as you can with some of these units, because even if you clip a thing, you get all your attacks. So then, I got into like the nitty gritty of like, what do I give my guys? And at first I was like, I think I want to give my Chaos Warriors halberds. That looks really cool. And then. No, actually, that's like kind of the not optimal choice because of
the source of weapons.
Weapons already have -1. The Chaos Warrior is base strength 4, so it used to be the AP or the armor modifier was based on your strength.
Yeah.
So that was actually really clean and elegant. I kind of wish they kept that, but they went they took this from Warriors Heresy. They took this like really
nuanced approach or whatever.
Really nuanced, so they could differentiate units. Like on this crazy
this is a strength level. 4 fireball doesn't have any armor piercing.
That's right.
Or this 2d6 strength 2 one has -3 or
whatever
stuff like that.
Yeah, so you get so here you're like well, I guess. And then Armor Bane is only on the 2 wound roll, so it's not even like normal AP. So that I was like, it's like. Anyway, I resigned that like sword and board, and also I realized the other thing that hit me, is that armor saves across the board are probably because of the lack of attacks in general in the game. Armor saves are weaker.
Much
than
worse.
normal.
Yeah.
They're like, a Chaos Warrior is like getting a 5-up maybe, and then a 4-up if you go hand weapon shields or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, why bother with halberds? That's a 2-hander, and then I lose the shield. All these decisions. And I still haven't decided on the size. And then the other thing, Lair, was like finding movement trays. I know, and like, yes. So I'm in the camp of like, not camp, but like I'm in the position that I'm not rebasing an old army. This is a brand new army. So, I've amassed some stock of 30 mil square bases and bigger cavalry bases, all the appropriate bases I need. I think I have some. So it's now like the debate about the frontages and then finding trades that will fit those. So anyway, there's a lot of logistics that are preventing me from even getting a model ready. You know what I mean? And it's been like a month and a half. And even there was time before that I was trying to order something. I remember pre-ordering some items, and then I didn't get them because they oversold or something.
There was like one, this is the common thing with the Games Workshop now, like if you web order, if like one of the items goes out of stock in a weird way,
they say nothing or whatever.
while it was showing in stock, but it wasn't in stock. There's this like just blackout period where like it could be a month where like the order will just be on hold and there'll be no communication. So it's on you to kind of get in touch with them.
Exactly.
But I want to just touch base on your movement tray point, which is, it's kind of one of those funny things that people don't necessarily think about until they get to that stage. But we've had like customers come in like looking for movement trays, and they don't realize when they're asking us that necessarily how difficult that answer is. So like, for example, someone comes in, I need trays for my, I don't know, Bretonnian army or whatever. And then the first thing will be like, okay, well, I don't have any because, and let me explain why.
Yeah.
Because it's impossible to stock something like this.
Yeah.
Because just like old fantasy, new fantasy, everyone's unit sizes are going to be completely different.
Right now,
Specialized, like, there's no sort of like accepted normal sizes yet. That hasn't really happened at this point. So, is a shop going to stock, unless you have your own like MDF laser cutter, are you going to stock like 5 wide, 6 wide, 7 wide, 8 wide, 9 wide, 1 deep, 2 deep, 3 deep, 4 deep,
30 mil, 20 mil.
Before you get, you get like 60 line items before you know it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, for something that like you only have a few customers for anyway, it just becomes insane. It's totally the type of business that like needs to be small and niche and online. Like 100% agree.
Yes.
Like there's some great places. I remember like Back to Basics. I think they're in Australia.
Australian.
We used to use them 10 years ago. They're still around, which is awesome.
I might have to order.
Yeah. And once again, it's great if you know the sizes that you want.
Well, it keeps changing because the meta is emerging right now. It's like bubbling, and you have all these articles online about. I forgot, there was a phrase for it too, rank hammer or something. I don't know, whatever the thing is about going like 10, 20 wide, single rank 20 wide type of thing, and there's a bit of like different sides of the argument you have. I love watching it because watching this unfold because you have a lot of newer players that played no fantasy are trying to talk about like how this isn't a big deal, and then you have other veteran players, probably like myself, probably in the camp. I'm like, no, it is a big deal because this is like exploitable. I remember especially towards the end of 8th, there was like so many different strategies and units and things to do. And the one that comes to mind is right away is like dwarf crossbowmen with great weapons are just busted because like they get the benefit. They get to do everything. They get to like shoot you, stand and shoot you, and then you click them and they get all 20 guys or whatever it is in the line, and they want to be in the line so they get extra ranks of shots on the hill or whatever the rules are. And you're like, so I don't know if that was an oversight in the rules. Maybe some people will probably counter-argue this is hyperbolic. You can charge that unit with 16 units, and I'm like,
but in reality, can you? That's always the question, right?
And
like,
do you want to? Because then the guy with that unit can use that in a way. They can angle it in a funny way and force you in a funny direction with all those units.
It's a misallocation of resources as well, because like obviously the guy still has other units in his army, so those aren't doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
So
there's another movement trade.
You also see people like playing without any chaff at all.
I think that's a new player,
which is interesting though. Like a lot of people online running battle report, like they I forgot how and they'll learn how devastating just Great Eagle or like this little 50-point blocking unit just standing in front of something. Like you can stop a unit from fighting like all game basically in Warhammer.
Especially now. So now again, this is something that I'll have to whenever I get to play. So I know people are going to be like, "This guy doesn't even play yet." Again, all I can do is watch things, observe things. Because I would like to play, but I can't get the models or source or get it together. And that is to do with some of these tactics. And I was like, with the breaking in good order or good standing thing or whatever it is, like. You could if you take a big enough unit of dogs or something, like they're not gonna easily break from outnumber, and they can just like take the hit and then just you keep pushing back for a while. Like people. I think there's a bit of like something to keep in mind is in these types of games is stalling for time is very powerful. You just prevent a unit from doing what it wants to do for 1 turn, 2 turns, etc. Yep. That's a massive amount because now the rest of your army can do something else. Maybe focus on a different target, get rid of it, and then swing back around. And anyway, we'll see how it goes when I get to it. My rant is mostly about like the difficulty of getting something together. Now I know I've had to change my mindset to the like. It really is like it's a weird thing. It's almost like a brand new game. The problem is your brain easily goes to no, but it's not a new game. It's an old game that's been brought back. So you would think that all this stuff is easy to get, but it's not. It's just like it's
created this weird dichotomy because you essentially have people that did have like old models kicking around, who basically just bought movement trays and books and are just like now like hey, they're like messaging the store.
Yes.
They're calling us up. I'm not talking about a lot of people here. I'm talking about a few people.
So yeah.
And there's a tournament organizer that's like floating around trying to organize some stuff at stores, which is awesome. Like I completely tip my hat to those people. But it's this weird dichotomy where like there's almost like an expectation that things need to start rolling now.
There is like a rush to get.
And like no one who just started it can like be in that situation. Like no one is ready to be in that situation right now. Like it's a monumental task getting an old world army together and ready for the tabletop. Even if you bought one of the like, pre-constructed box sets or whatever.
A few customers of ours that picked up those are like, I just finished my first unit or something. Like, it takes time because they're probably running into the same questions that I was, which was like, what do I build? What numbers and what formations and how many and whatever and like. And I'm a guy who's like can disseminate the information relatively quickly because I like have the experience of playing the game. But if you didn't play the game, then it's like completely like
and like let's be honest, like whether you bought either of those box sets, they're pretty terrible armies.
They're not great.
Like, and if the only gaming available right now is against people with like full collections, it's probably going to be a pretty poor experience, right? So,
tough, yeah.
For the most part in those box sets, you don't have wizards, you don't really have like the key heroes you need for your army. You're missing usually like fast cav or war machines, like all the sort of like accessory pieces that usually add like the power to your army.
The power to your army, yeah. Well, like anything, the more Warhammer you play, whatever edition, whatever era, whatever game. Is the powerful armies have like they take the minimums of the cores and the troops and they maximize on the power units and you can't get a lot
like in that Tomb King box like what's doing damage in there outside the dragon and maybe the chariots. Nothing. It's all fluff
like
or whatever.
And the archers
they're there to
roll
just
lots of dice,
take a charge and survive a couple turns maybe.
Yeah,
they're not doing any damage.
And then similarly in the Bretonnian side, like you get a couple of lances and knights that can do some damage, and then you got a ton of men at arms. So it's like I guess the king. So I mean, they were probably built to fight each other.
Yeah,
which I imagine. And I guess what happened is GW at some point was like, we don't want to make one hunk enormous box that's $500, so they made two.
And so you have this weird pocket of two like distinct groups of people that have different expectations and. Sort of like they're at different stages of where they're at, and I think that's creating a weird sort of start to a community, because it is like a start to a community, but it's a start to a community with like all this baggage from before, and then expectations, and then now you legitimately have like a bunch of new people entering the arena for the first time, who are like essentially bought their first models and are going to be like 3 to 9 months away from even like thinking about playing their first game, which is just like. I get they're like some of you watching this that are uber hobbyists may be like, oh, why is it taking them so long? I threw my army together in a weekend and started playing next week. I'm like, that's fine, like and good on you, but that's not most people.
That's not most people. It's not.
Most people, the hobby is something they get to do a few times a week, and they piddle paddle.
A few times a week.
I know, yeah. Whoa. they piddle paddle through it and just work on things slowly, you know.
So anyway, I know my little point about having to change my mind about it being like it's like it's almost like a completely new game that's like just come back on the market or for the first time is like think of like when Marvel first came to the store, etc. Like you have your early adopters and then you need time for releases to come in. So this game really won't get up to speed, I think, until we get at least half a dozen of these. You know, obviously orcs are next because they showed us that.
Yeah.
And then you assume whatever.
And we need more, like, you have this other paradox that exists where, like, hobby stores, you know, they kind of made a bit of money on it, and now there's not really anything to be made.
No.
So it'll be interesting to see, like, going forward how the relationship exists, because, like, most people in North America look to hobby stores for their gaming communities to play the games that they love. And so if people are messaging and being like, hey, like, when's your old world gaming night and that sort of stuff, there's, as far as the business side goes, there's not a lot of incentive for a hobby shop to even have that at all. They probably would be just doing it out of the goodness of their hearts if you're like a customer of theirs. They're trying to curate something just for you.
Yeah.
So think about that if you're messaging a shop and you're not really their customer, about like the position you're kind of putting them in necessarily. You know, it's not necessarily something that's going to be at the forefront of their mind because it doesn't pay their bills, right?
Yeah.
It's just a reality.
Yeah, you have to get used to for at least I would say like probably till the fall or something. I don't know. It's more than 6 months. You probably get used to, like, you know, you can do, like, if you're a if you know of, like, nearby us or whatever, like, you know, when you're joining the store Discord, there's no world channel. You know, you can chat with some people there. I'm sure you can arrange a game or whatever.
And the best thing you can do right now is find a friend. Like, honestly, find someone else that is excited about the game you're excited about, and you will just have a good time. Like, that is the best thing you can do right now, is just find someone that you can schedule some games with here and there. And I think the smartest thing someone asked me this week was exactly that. They weren't even asking, hey, can I come play Old World at your shop? When's your Old World night? It was, hey, do you have another person that comes to your shop that's excited about this? And you can point them in my direction. Yeah. Which I think is a really healthy sort of approach, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's in a weird state.
I think we kind of predicted all this, like, in a strange way. We kind of said it was going to be this way, right? Yeah. So it's at least comforting to know that we're where we're at. Yeah. Because, you know, we kind of expected to be here. We knew it wasn't going to be this huge new thing. Mm-hmm. We need to have measured expectations and sort of like go forward slowly. And
so I guess the prediction is the next prediction would be, let's say, in 9 months from now or whatever. What do you think it'll look like or whatever?
In terms of, in which way?
Just like what's on the wall? What are people doing? Is it like?
I hope for the sake of the game, you know. And then this is me putting my cheerleader hat on for Old World. Yeah. I hope for the sake of the game, Games Workshop doesn't wait too long to put more stuff out, because I think that's absolutely crucial right now. It is crucial right now.
I
wouldn't be waiting 2 months between releases right now. I think this beginning stage is really important to get it off. People need stuff to buy so they can actually play it, right? So Bretonnians and Tomb Kings weren't for everybody. There's how many? 7 other armies or something? Mm-hmm. We need to get some of that stuff out. Make more stuff made to order, whatever it takes to kind of get it going. I think that's essential. Do I think that'll happen? I think it'll be, unfortunately, slower than that. And I don't blame GW for that. I think it's just a matter of, like, their release schedule kind of getting a bit more choppy these days than it was before.
I would like to see them. And for the gaming perspective, and I know this is already happening. There's tournaments, especially in the UK. I'm sure there's tons of tournaments, and because that's like the bastion, I'm sure, of more Old World players and whatever. I think Games Workshop needs more articles, and they need to get some of these, like, pro players to, like, probably give their takes on, like, what they've disseminated from the game, and I think that would help the regular players. My wish list item, which is not going to happen, is GW needs to make a new movement tray or whatever. So we'll end off on this thing because we started with it. Is back to the movement tray thing. Is yes, GW does sell a modular one that you can cut, although it is old as dirt. It's from literally 2004 or something, and it doesn't even match up to the new, like,
sizes
the new
necessarily.
Sizes, there's a lot of stuff on 30 millimeters now.
Yeah.
And they're also charging a crazy number for it, considering it only makes like 2 trays. Yeah. So it's another reason why I don't have it on the. I can order it for you if you want, but yeah. So keep that in mind. My advice to people, because I've given this advice, is do some really simple trays right now. Like literally get like some thin cardboard, like cereal box
Plastic
cardboard,
card, even.
plastic card.
It's cheap and you can
and
cut
just
it.
cut it to the footprint, and you can just blue tack some bottles or whatever. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can get some sticky tape or do a little. They have those little sheet magnets you can cut.
Oh yeah, like the fridge ones or whatever.
Whatever,
Yeah.
and just make it really basic, because the meta of this game is changing a lot, because it's one of the weirdest games in that it has, because of the way they redid it, because it's not 8th, it's not 7th, it's not 6th, it's like a combination of all these editions, including like Warhammer Ancient Battles, that it is really like, you can't take any preconceived thing, because like Chris and I would have these discussions. I was like, anything you remember from 8th, he's like, is not in this game. He's like, what? I was like, nothing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, nothing.
I was like, nothing. Well, it's funny you talk about meta. I have another prediction with this game, and I think there's going to be, and I don't mean this as like a knock against. I think so few of games of this are going to be played in general compared to like a 40K, compared to like an AOS. That I think a lot of the stuff's going to happen in homes, like people are playing with their buddies.
That's true.
And I think the majority of people that are going to be playing this are going to be sort of doing it for the old world feels, the rank and flank thing. Yeah. And I think they're going to be doing it more like how they play like games like Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think there's going to be more social contract involved, I think, in general. So in those contexts, I think like Jay was saying, like movement tray sizes don't matter as much. You're playing with your buddies. You could even agree, like, okay, none of us are going to do this stupid like 20 guys wide thing and just run up the field.
I think
like
that's going to be,
you know, and I think that's fine. That's a perfectly reasonable way to play war games with your friends. Is just kind of agree on what. With Horus Heresy, we used to be like, okay, let's put a limit on dreadnoughts because they're insane or whatever.
And the old world equivalent is dragons, right?
Dragons, yeah. Maybe no dragons, otherwise
maybe
you just
limit or save the dragons for 3,000 plus or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They're very obnoxious. Yeah.
So what have you guys played any games yet? What problems have you seen with it? Are you seeing your local hobby shop carry it? Are they excited? Are they running activities for it? Let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video and you happen to watch this long in, which is kind of wild, consider supporting us on Patreon. We just fired that up last week, and give us a subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate it. Thanks until next time. Take care.
See ya.